right, 9:30 on the dot. All right, so I'm gonna get started. I am talking about pride today, and I was trying to figure out which approach, my direction, my instructions to go through in order to talk about this heavy topic that some admit that they have, and a lot of people that they don't admit that they have. And so the best way to talk about it is to talk about myself. And if you're triggered or offended, then it's on you because I'm talking about myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's a win-win. So pride is something that there's a difference between having pride in something and letting pride control you. Like I have pride in my work, but I don't let pride control me. So one of the things, like, I avoid perfection. It was such a pain in the butt. So like I just finished writing a book, and the thing that kicked my butt was the margins. I have a lot of pride in my work. I had a lot of pride in that book. However, the margins was kicking my butt that it wasn't perfect. But I had to remember what was my intention with writing the book. Was it for the look of perfection, or was it for the message? And so what I did was, with the flaws and all, I sent it out because it was important to get the message out versus showing how perfect I am. And so there's a difference in pride and having pride. I believe that pride is the root of a lot of things that just keeps you stuck. And a lot of people don't know what keeps them stuck. And it's because they don't want to admit or understand or recognize the power of pride that they're feeding. So when I recognized my pride, I saw it as a big Buddha, like a humongous Buddha. I was like, and so I was like, I didn't realize what it was. All I saw was this big, humongous, and it was the size of me. I was almost 300 pounds. And so when you ask God for patience, he doesn't sprinkle patient powder on you. I hope you guys know that. Like, he gives you situations, circumstances that gives you more patience. And if you got like, oh God, like, help me to figure out what's next. What's my net of instructions? He doesn't just says, here's some powder juice for your next instructions. He gives you circumstances and situations so that you can recognize and see it, what's your next move. But if you don't understand what's holding you back, you need to shave that off first, like sandpaper. And so you have to be willing to be sandpaper down. A lot of people believe that their prayer's not answered because it doesn't come in a red carpet. Like, no, you just don't like the sandpaper. Most of my prayers look like sandpaper. I don't. So when people are like, how'd you get here? It's because I had to let that sandpaper sand me down. Like, I was dusty. Like, it wasn't just like, it was like it was a lot of dust in that construction area. I was like, ah! So I, till this day, I remembered, I was like, you know what? I think I have pride. I think pride's holding me back. God, let's get rid of this pride. I didn't know what I was asking. I thought it was like a very simple thing. And till this day, and this was 2 years ago, I remember the exact people's faces. I remember the exact situation that just made me so break apart. Like, it physically hurt to give up my pride. And I was like, I was wrong. And I was like, I started thinking about it. I was like, what's so hard to admit wrong unless I needed to prove that I was right? And so when people say, you think you know everything, I was like, no, sometimes I wish I'm wrong because what I know is not a good outcome. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, and for the sake of the benefit, not because I want to be like, ha, ha, bitch, ha, I told you so. Like, no, that's not why I want to be right. Like, most of the time, I'm like, the outcome is not what I'm hoping it to be. And so you have to realize that if you're feeding your pride, you're not feeding your purpose. You can't feed both at the same time. You either feeding your purpose price or you feeding your prideful price or your personal price, but you can't feed both. And you can't feed it when you want to. So one of the things that held me back, like, do I think that I had to fall on my face 3 times? No. Do I believe that it took 3 times for me to realize that I'm hard-headed and I needed to see how powerful God was and not me? Yes. A lot of people say like everything happens for a reason. I don't really believe in that. I don't really believe like, oh, life just happens. I believe choices are very powerful and choices lead you to your next life destination. So pride, just imagine like pride is like carrying a shovel. Okay. So if you have pride and you're feeding your little prideful Buddha, you're just like, let me carry this shovel. And what that shovel represents is the hole that you're digging. And the more you hold on to this because you don't want to be wrong or you don't want to be told what to do or you got this and you don't need nobody, the tighter it is that you're holding on to this hole that you're actually digging. Holding on to pride makes you lose. Letting go makes you win. But it's not an overnight thing. Like the moment you let go, you win. However, you have to understand because you fed it so much, it doesn't go away right away, just like weight loss. So what I learned was how big my pride was, how big I got. My Buddha was over 300 pounds. Guess how much I weighed? Almost 300 pounds. And so I always say you have to get rid of the weight around you to get rid of the weight on you. And I realized that in my own personal life, the more weight of people I lose, the skinnier I get. I'm like, good God, I had a lot of people to get rid of. And I see that's my revelation. I see that in the supernatural and I see that in the natural in my life. And so I put 2 and 2 together and I was like, wow, that's crazy. And so I'm not saying it works for everyone. It was applied to my life. And so what happens is pride doesn't just go away because you ask for it. Like, well, I thought my prayers get answered right away. They do. It's called now you have to ask for patience. And so you're like, well, a lot of people are like, well, I don't have patience. You better ask because that's the only way you're going to be able to survive. Are people going to like use you as a donkey or I don't even know if I want to use that word. Are people going to use you as an example when you get to let go of pride and they don't? Oh yeah. They're going to start calling you names. They're going to start saying like, oh, look at you. Maybe it's because of your pride. They'll start using you as an example and then you don't want to be like the clown. You don't want to be made a fool. But then you really have to ask yourself, what's important to you? Like pleasing them or finding your purpose? I wish I could express to you the amount of mockery I was made up to this point to where when I finally wrote my book, I wrote it as a manual because I got tired of teaching and coaching people that did not believe. We do not lack resources, we lack commitment. And I added just recently, we lack commitment because we lack belief. And so what happened is I wanted to make people become believers in my story. I'm not saying that once you read that book, you're going to be like, I'm a believer. But what I am going to say is that I hope that it provides proof of hope that second chances are possible. That's it. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be available to understand. And so how I realized how to get rid of pride was my own weight loss process. I needed patience. I needed to adjust. I needed to listen. I needed to accept. I need to let go of denial. All that broke the pride Buddha into little tiny pieces. It did not go away. So what happens is when you don't want to let go of the pride, you get distracted with things that seem very overwhelming to you, like the weight of the world. And I can identify in my own life when I don't do what I'm supposed to do next, I start caring about things very overwhelmingly that has no purpose. And so next, I'm like, oh, but what about this? And what about that? What is your assignment to that? Nothing. You're just another Facebook status that just wants to bitch and complain. You're not doing nothing. And so what happens is I find myself being distracted with the weight of the world. And I was like, man, what am I doing? I got distracted because I don't want to face something. So I continue following my instructions, even though I'd be like, I don't want to do it. And I wrote that in the book. And so you have to make your pride hangry. It's going to take some time, but you have to constantly make it hangry. And it's going to be uncomfortable. People will notice. People will pick on you. People will use you as examples. And then people will question, what are you doing? And there's 3 questions you have to ask yourself. Are you capable? The answer is yes. Do you want to? Probably not. So now you're stuck on phase 1. There's 3 phases. Are you capable? The answer is yes. Do you want to? Yes. What do you want? And so when you finally get cornered in life to be privileged enough to face the question, what do you want? Then that's where you find your answer. But you have to go those 2 phases first. When I was in 300 pounds, my back was hurting, my knee was hurting, oh, my back, my knees. Are you capable? No, my back hurts. Are you capable? No, my knees. My knees. You don't understand, guys. My knees, blah, 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 blah. All right, so I was stuck in phase 1. So by the time I accepted and took accountability and responsibility for my life, then I went to phase 2. Do you want to? No. All right, then you're stuck in phase 1. All right, I'll stay here for a bit. And then next you know, you're going to realize and recognize that the stuck feeling is the worst feeling in the world. I read a Facebook page one time in this veteran page that I'm part of, and he said, guys, I have a good job. I have a nice house, a nice car, and this ain't it. So, and then about 95% of the comments like, you're so ungrateful. You should appreciate it. Yeah, they're right. However, 95% of them missed the point that he was missing his purpose. I think the greatest trap is for you to go to phase 3 and recognize how powerful that corner to where you're questioned, what do you want? And this is what I teach my team. This is what I teach at camp. I want you cornered. I need to get you to phase 3. But if you're at phase 1 only, are you capable? Yes. Do you want to? You're going to verbally tell me yes, and I'm going to verbally tell you that you're full of crap. That's my teammate Wendy. Because when you're connected to intentions means that you're connected to source. And source is going to tell you what their intentions are. That's why I told in the last podcast how powerful when Nefty's story was when she came to camp. Was she capable? Yes. Did she want to? No, because I knew her intentions. When you have pure intentions, you're connected to source. And so what happens is when you're connected to source, source tells you everything, as long as you have pure intentions. In order to have pure intentions, you have to let go of your pride. And I think getting to pure intentions is the greatest gift of discernment and intuition that you can see, because you can meet someone and know why you needed them right away. I think that's a bad gift. If you ask me, that's bad. Instead of like understanding and trying to get to know someone. I'll tell you a true story. Someone came to camp with good intentions. And I was like, this ain't it. Something ain't right. He smiled at me, was very polite, very nice. I was like, and so what it felt like the shoe it felt like a tight shoe. And I was like, something in it, something's wrong. And anytime I ask, remember last podcast, I said it, anytime you ask for that something for self-growth Or if it's for your purpose, you always get it 24 hours later. Always. You have to know what you're asking though. If it's for self-growth, it's for 24 hours later. Most of the time, you're not going to like your answer. Remember, sandpaper. And so I was like, man, something ain't right. This guy's in my camp. Something ain't right. 24 hours later, I found out my answer. I was like, huh. So this person came in to spy on someone. And I was like, all right. So when this person came back again, I was like, I know who you are. And keep in mind, they didn't tell me nothing. I knew the intentions was exposed. I said, I know your intentions. I know you are. I said, you're a very, very great manipulator. You have a wall that's full of mirrors surrounding you. And so when people try to talk to you about faults or try to communicate with you, you put it back on them like a mirror. And this mofo response was for the glory of God. I was like, wait, manipulation from God? Wait, what? It took, I knew an angel had came down from heaven to go, I just don't do nothing, don't say it, because I was ready to cuss someone out. I was like, wait, you think manipulation comes from God? Like, that's not how it works, bro. But I didn't say nothing. And I told him, I said, that's either going to change your life or you're going to run away from me. Haven't seen them since. Pride will keep you stuck. Pride will keep you lonely. Pride will keep you deaf. Pride will keep you blind. The answer was given to him, but he was so damn offended that he'd rather keep his offense than his change. Pride will keep you dumb. Pride will keep you stuck. Pride will make you fall down. And so what happens is it physically hurt him. It didn't cost him nothing to give up. And so now back to the 3 questions. Was he capable? Yes. Did he want to? No. So he's back at phase 1. So our answers, our prayers are always answered. We may not like the answer though. And so someone said the other day, maybe it's your delivery, Desi. I go, I know what I'm talking to versus who I'm talking to. I know who I'm talking to, but I know what I'm talking to. And if that person really, really, really cares for you and they love you, they don't talk to that thing to keep you stuck so that you can never grow. They're going to talk to that thing so it understands who I am so that we can remove it so that you can grow and recognize your purpose and recognize who your source is. So I cannot help you if you want to keep your pride. I am not for everybody. But I also understand and recognize the price that it came with by holding on to pride. Pride will keep you, pride will lead you to a dark place that probably will never get you back out again. In the first chapter of my book, Your Yes is Needed, I remembered a very, very dark, dark, dark room that I went to. It was July 4th, 2018. I was so drunk. I went to like a blackout stage and then I blacked out and I stayed there. And here I was in this dark hole and I was invited. There was this table set before me with all these chairs, very light dim, and there was a figure at the end. And this figure was like, I was like, and prior to that, I had lost it. It was so embarrassing. That's when I faced my pride. I was so bruised. I was so made fun of. And the invitation was inviting. So I was like, wait, you need my permission? I thought you could just take me. You can't take me? Like, I need to give you my yes? Huh, interesting. And so when I think about that, I recognize and understand how powerful man's will is. So when you get to the second phase, do you want to? The power of choice always falls on you. Always. you need to say yes to something. And so we can't just say life happens. We had to say yes to something for us to get to that path to where we're at right now. And a lot of it leads to pride, people pleasing, acceptance, ego. And so what I want to share with you guys is like, you really want to ask God, do I have pride? And then you're like, oh God, do I want to ask the next question? Show me. I love being triggered now. I may not like it, but I love it because there's an answer. We are privileged enough to ask and be given an answer. That is such privilege. And it falls on us to accept that accountability and responsibility. Now, I tell folks, accountability and responsibility is your sharpest knife. It is your sharpest sword. The more responsible, the more accountable you are, the faster you'll get there. However, you can't be around people. Please listen to this next part. You cannot be around people who want to dump their accountability and responsibilities on you, because now you won't be able to identify what's yours, because now you're carrying everyone's weight versus your own weight. You got to stop being this like, oh, I wear my heart in the sleeve crap. Oh, I'm just empathetic crap. So am I, but I don't carry everyone's weight. So I have no problem cutting people off and not feeling sorry. And that took a long time because, sorry, if you are around people that makes you want to carry their weight and say, you see, that is your fault. And someone's going to listen to this podcast. You see how she's saying it's all you? And then next you know, you're going to start losing your identity because you're going to be like, is it me? Maybe it is me. Maybe I should be more responsible for my actions. Maybe, and you're going to almost lose your identity. You're going to lose yourself, and you're not going to know who you are because you're carrying so much weight because you don't want to let them go because you're trying to save them instead of yourself. And that is the worst. You can't be accountable and responsible if you carry extra weight. You have to learn how to cut people off and be okay with it. Recently, last year or 2 years ago, I had to cut someone off. I did not want to. But I knew I had to. And I got made fun of it for it. It was, you're the blame for this. And, yep, sure. I just walked away and let it hurt. And then just to find out the miracle that happened, I was like, it doesn't make me want to go, ha, bitch, told you. No, it makes me trust the source more and lean on it more. And the more validation that comes and resurfaces after the things I have walked away, the more I trust what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. But that took a price. That took a price of, are you okay with letting everyone talk about you and all this stuff because you're trying to protect the image? Also, if you put an image out there that this is how you are, and you protecting your image, you are not stepping in purpose because you have created an image that you have to protect versus stepping into a purpose that you were designed to be. You're either going to protect image or step in purpose, but you can't pick both. When I lost my shit the first time, April 2018, I had an image I was protecting. I had titles. I loved titles. I loved being rich. I love having so much. And if you go to my Instagram page, that's why it says, I professionally make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches without being disappointed. I don't want no more titles. I don't care for titles ever again. Like, people call me coach, people call me this, that's fine. Call me whatever you want. I just don't want to lose my position. I love my position more than I do titles because titles almost took me out. I love position, and I embrace position because I know a position where it came from, and I'm grateful. And so because I don't want titles, I don't really care what your job is. You could ask anyone on my team. I've never asked them, hey, what do you do for work? Because I don't care. I care about your position. Anytime I meet someone, I don't ask them, hey, what do you do for work? I don't care. I care about knowing you, who you are first versus your title and your position. Because most of all, if you're a workaholic, all you do is talk about work. You don't even know who you are. So I don't care what you do for work. So I encourage you guys to ask. It's gonna hurt at first, but it won't last. I'm telling you, I love being triggered. Anytime I trigger, ooh, but why? Because the more I can shave off things that hold me down, the more I can come back up. The more I shave off things that are of me or what I think I want to do, the more I can't let God use me. So you have to pick by phase 3. What do you want? Oh, I want to be available. I want to be used by God. I want to be able to hear. I want to be able to see. Shave off that pride. I can tell by some of you guys that are on Zoom right now. I follow your stories. I can tell the power of distraction. And sometimes the distraction is because you're right there. So if you just leave that alone and focus on that and face it, you'll get there quicker versus being delayed. Remember, denial means delay. You're never going to win. And there's no expiration date with denial. That's the worst part. People say, oh, time is everything. Bull crap. Time is everything if you do something with that time. If you do something with that time, your whole life can change. My whole life changed in 2 years. If I known this 7 years, I would have been overweight for 7 years. I would have done it in 2 years. But because I didn't think it was possible, because I was like, well, I just need a bike. I got a bike. It's collected dust. I just need new shoes. Got new shoes. Didn't do nothing. I need surgery on my knees. Thank God the first doctor I had, she was like, you don't need surgery. I was like, yes, I do. And so when I came back to visit her the second time, I was like, you know what? Thank you for listening to your intuition and not listening to me. And then she was so blown away. She was like, yes, whatever you need, let me know. The second doctor I saw after her, because when you're at the VA, you get so many doctors. She was like, oh, what are you doing? No, you can't do this. So when you're looking for something, the right people will come your way. But if you push them away, that's your fault, because the right people will come your way. But if you're too busy feeding that Buddha pride, then trust me, you will attract who you want. And that's not always good. I attracted every person I was supposed to because that thing inside of me attracted them. And so my healing attracts people that are healed. I'm not saying they have their shit together, but they're on my team. And I know once their intentions change, I know I know it's time to go because I'm connected. So you have to understand who is in your circle. When all those people left out of my life, I thought it was so unfair. I cried so much. I was like, and don't even get me started. Like seeing I know what they were doing. They were using social media to rub it in my face. And I just deleted social media. It's like, if I can't see it, you can't put nothing in my face. Ha! So I deleted social media because I didn't want nothing to be rubbed in my face. And so it helped. I deleted for like 6 months. I think one of the platforms for 6 months, and then Facebook for 30. But it helped. So if you need to cut things off, your intentions is because you recognize where you need to be. I dare you to ask God. I dare you to ask God, what's holding me back? Oh, he'll show you. Thank you for listening to guys. I hope this helped. This is only like 1% but I wrote the book for a reason. I wrote the book as a manual as to how I got here. So it wasn't for royalties, it was for you guys to show that second chances are possible because I'm living proof. So thank you for listening. Have a good night.